Relevant Recruiter Group, welcome to today's training. Thank you so much for being here. What is happening? If you're here with me live right now, drop a hi and let me know that I can hear you. Let me know that you're here. I've got a really fun, controversial training that I'm run today around the 4 pillars of the Relevant Recruiter method. And it's ultimately how recruiting agencies, executive search firms, and staffing companies can really build an online brand presence that attracts your ideal clients and candidates and show you how to do all of this on autopilot. So we're going to get this thing rolling. I'm really excited to deliver this training for you today. Give me a second as I get myself situated here and make sure I can access any of the interaction I have in the Facebook group. But again, like I said, if you're here with me right now, drop a hi in the comments below so I know you're here with me and I can interact with you. So, what if everything that you've learned about business development in recruiting in this recruiting and staffing industry, what if it was wrong? What if all the things that these trainers keep teaching you, the same tactics that people have been using quite honestly since the 90s, are actually still being taught today? This is a massive problem, I think, in the industry. It's not to say that some of these things don't work, but it's kind of like learning how to tune up a V8 engine right now when you can't even really tune up your own car anymore. It's not a relevant skill to learn. So, can you tune up a car? Yeah, you can if you have an old school car. So right now, what I'm going to share with you is everything that's new age, everything that's going to help you leverage time, everything that's going to help you create more freedom in your business, in your life, and create more impact for your clients and your candidates. There is a better way. There is a better way than what's being taught out there. And a lot of the other coaches that are popping up around there are just teaching a lot of Me Too stuff. And this is a big challenge. And so what I'm going to share with you today is something that I've never been taught by a recruiting trainer. I'm not a recruiter. Everything that I'm going to be showing you today comes from actual experience helping recruiters build and develop this system that I've been doing over the last several years now. And what I'm about to share with you, the 4 pillars, is exactly how, my clients have been able to add 6 figures plus to their revenue every single year without picking up the phone and cold calling. Now, don't get me wrong. If you guys have seen my trainings before, you know that I'm not saying that the phone is obsolete. The phone is obviously where you're always going to win. But the key thing here and what you learn with these 4 pillars is that the way we get on the phone and how those phone conversations go when we're the most relevant choice in the marketplace, it's a hell of a lot better than a lot of the things that we've been doing in the past. So don't take this wrong. The game is won on the phone. The game is won through relationships. So, everything that we've been doing over the last few years is really the opposite of what's been taught. And if you saw my training yesterday, we talked about the long vision. Okay. And I told you that I have a long vision for you. This isn't a Band-Aid program. This isn't a magic pill strategy or solution. This is a solution that you can use for years for your business, not for the next 90 days, not to get quick wins or quick results, but that is a legitimate strategy that you can implement for your business for years to come so that you can attract your ideal clients and candidates on autopilot. So, some of the things that are still out there is like, hey, you got to smile and dial. That's the only way. You got to make your 100 calls a day. If you don't make your 100 calls a day, then you're not going to be able to grow your recruitment business. Oh, you have to have this touch point where you send a cold email and then cold call. And then if they don't answer, then follow up with another cold email. And if they don't answer, then we'll cold call them again. Or we're just getting lists and we're purchasing lists from people and we're just spamming the hell out of people. There's a better way. There's a better way to do it than that, okay? There's a way that you can do this that actually builds your brand as an authority. There's a way that you can do this that creates more freedom. There's a way that you can do this that's going to make clients and customers want to come after you and work with you, okay? So how many of you guys at this point that are on this training, how many have actually generated a lead from your online efforts? If you can drop that, drop a win in the comments below that you've generated leads from your online efforts, that'd be awesome. If you haven't yet, then just drop a not yet. I just want to kind of know who's on here and what kind of success you've had with online marketing and lead generation, okay? Here's the thing. We're going to go over the Relevant Recruiter method, which is really 4 pillars, and those are, stand out, amplify awareness, awaken desire, and consistent engagements with powerful promotion, okay? So those are the 4 pillars we're going to discuss today, and I'm going to dive deep into all of them, but let's talk about some of the problems with everything. One I've already kind of hit on, right? And that's the information that's out there. And there's tons and tons of noise in the marketplace. There's tons of people telling you what you should be doing. And I would imagine for a lot of you guys, it's like, well, who do I listen to and what works, right? And everybody's an expert nowadays. So it's really looking at, being able to cut through that noise. And, for you, if you're trying to go out there and do this on your own, if you're an expert at recruiting, then that's where your expertise lies. And going into online marketing and lead generation, it can be difficult, and it can certainly be time consuming if you don't really know what you're going after or what you're doing. And you can end up wasting a ton of time doing this. You can end up destroying your brand by doing this if you don't really know what you're doing. Other things that kind of come up with a lot of people is, when you start to go online, you start thinking of creating content, and content is scary, right? You have to do something like this. You have to be live on video, and you guys can all sit here and drop comments and talk crap with me about me, as I'm exposing myself to you, right? So there's sometimes there's this fear of having to put myself out there. And we've helped people overcome all of these things by just realizing that, your worth right now is not valued based off of what kind of content you create and how good you are at content. So there's a lot of things that are holding people back when it comes to the knowledge, when it comes to time, when it comes to what do I do, who do I trust, how do I put myself out there, who's going to listen to me. And by going through this training, you'll see exactly how we can make that easier for you. So, when you're thinking about running a business, one of the things that we really want to pay attention to is, we only have X amount of time per day. And, prioritizing that time, especially when running a recruitment business, is incredibly, incredibly powerful. And so, I would have you ask yourself is what truly produces income for your recruitment business? What activities is it that is truly generating revenue for your business right now? What type of client ideally do you want to work with, right? And really start to make a congruent effort into what is the actions I need to take every single day to grow my business. So what we're going to do is we're going to dive into these 4 pillars, and I'm going to dive deep into each section. So if you want to take some notes right now, pull out your notebook and jot this stuff down. This is going to be a really killer training. So we're going to talking about, the first pillar, and the first pillar is your ability to stand out. And what does stand out really mean? Well, it means just separating ourselves from the competition. Let's talk about the recruiting industry. As I came into this industry, one of the things I realized really quick, and especially as I run ads online, is that the industry reputation isn't necessarily a rosy one, right? There's a lot of recruiters out there that are churn them and burn them, transactional. All they're focused on is their placement fee, but they're not really focused on the candidate, and they're not focused on delivering value for their client. And whether you like it or not, if you don't have a way to separate that, when you approach a client, you are viewed as that. You are viewed as in the worst case light. That's just kind of the way people tend to work. And so we need to be doing everything that we can with our online presence to stand out and differentiate ourselves from the next recruiters. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not knocking anybody that's on here. I think everybody that's on here is really focused on a better new way of standing out, and they care about their clients and they care about their candidates. But understand that there are people out there that genuinely just don't. They're there to make the buck. And in fact, I'll save you some time. If that is you, and there's no knock if you're focused on this from revenue, this training is not gonna hit home. Okay. This type of a strategy is really built for more of a consultative approach for people that really want to impact their clients and candidates. So keep that in mind. So when it comes to standing out, what are the key elements in order to effectively stand out? Well, the first thing I need to know is, well, who am I trying to stand out to? I need to get crystal clear on what my core target market is, especially in a time right now as we're going through a crisis that we're going through, globally. People want to work with experts. And even though you could be the best recruiter in town, if you're positioned as a generalist, you're probably going to get fewer opportunities out there, because right now people are very conscious about their money and where they're spending. And there may be a guy who understands marketing and lead generation better than you that can't recruit on your level, and he may get it because he's positioned the way the person wants. Okay. So there's got to be nothing more frustrating than knowing that you are an expert at recruiting and all you want to do is help your market, but the opportunities just aren't there. So the first thing is like knowing exactly who I want to help and get incredibly clear. Now, the thing about it is when you're building out a client avatar, if you will, if you're trying to figure out who your core customer is, one of the big mistakes that people make is they try to create and make this vague. Like, get really specific, get ideal, on who your ideal client is going to be. So for me, it's typically a 6 or 7 figure recruiting entrepreneur that runs a either independent recruiting agency or all the way up to, a multi-million-dollar, recruiting or staffing agency or executive search firm, right? But more importantly, these people value making an impact on their clients and candidates. These people value being an expert in the market. These people value family. These are things that are important to me and things that I really look for in an ideal client. Okay. And so that's the same thing that you're going to want to do as well, as figure out very clearly who your ideal clients are, so we can actually get you to stand out. Okay. Once you understand who your clients are, then what you really want to do, the best way to position yourself now is really you want to position yourself as an authority. You want to position yourself as somebody that can actually solve a bigger problem in the company, not just somebody that hires people, but we actually help solve problems. And that's probably the easiest way that you can position yourself and make yourself different. Because even though when you pick a clear target market and you start to niche out, guess what? People started niching out years ago in recruiting. That's not enough. Your experience, it's not enough. And the reason I say that is because when I ask people, when I have these conversations with people, hey, how do you differentiate yourself? It's always, oh, well, I came from the industry. Oh, I've got X amount of years experience doing this. Oh, I'm niched out in that area. And although those things do help and they are a part of your differentiator, I think you get the point. It's just not enough, right? So really a lot of it is, how do I show up into the marketplace? Because when we stand out very clearly, what happens is we activate the reticular activating system. And for those of you that aren't, familiar with that, that's basically like, hey, I'm going to go buy a Suburban. And now that I'm shopping for the Suburban, every single car I see on the road is a Suburban, right? And so it's the same thing for you, is you want to build a presence so you can stand out. So when the time comes for your prospective clients to hire, that you stand out, that they start to see you everywhere when that need's there. Vice versa, if it comes to a candidate and you're doing that. When you really know how to stand out, then you can truly separate yourself from that next recruiter. And when you can do that, that's how we can start to go down that path of getting more exclusive opportunity, more possibly retained opportunities, because we are different and we have the market sees us as being different. So again, in order to properly stand out, what's important is getting very clear on that target market, positioning yourself as an authority within that market, so that we can hit that reticular activating system. And then you're also going to start building out what your ideal offer is. Now, an offer is very simple. An offer can be a phone call. An offer can also be a lead magnet. Okay, but you want to figure out, what is your offer to the marketplace? What is the action that you want them to take with you? So those are all the keys of standing out. If you're listening to this right now, drop in the comments below. Just drop stand out if you really think that you are different in the marketplace right now. If you feel like you are standing out like a sore thumb in the marketplace, just drop the comment below, stand out. Okay. The next part of the relevant recruiter method, and one of the things that you'll see with this method, is everything kind of works together congruently as you go through this. Okay, so the next thing that you really want to do for your recruiting business is you want to amplify your awareness. There's so many people that I speak to and that I work with that are genuinely experts at recruiting, yet nobody knows about it because they don't know how to amplify their awareness. They don't know how to get their message out to the marketplace. So doing this time to do your target market and finding a way that you're going to stand out doesn't do us any good if we don't have any way of getting people to know it. So the first step of amplifying our awareness is really going all in on your online brand presence. Okay, now not necessarily going all in on every place at once, and we'll get to that, but going all in, making a 100% commitment now to your recruitment business that I'm going all in on my online presence so that I can show up and amplify my awareness to my market. Because in order for us to get new opportunities, there has to be some level of course, awareness to your marketplace. And so one of the best places to start this is actually just on LinkedIn. Okay. And what I'm going to lay out here for you is probably the most basic thing, but so many people miss a couple key things to actually make this successful. And so, the reason why I like LinkedIn is because it really just kind of emulates the same prospecting strategy that we're taught through cold calling. Right. And so we do want to be very targeted and very granular with our approach when we're hitting ideal hiring decision makers. And so the idea here is that we want to take our LinkedIn network and we want to expand our LinkedIn network with all the potential hiring decision makers and gatekeepers within our market, because we obviously don't know from company A to company B, like who's really hiring. We don't know. And especially in a time like this, right? Who is the actual hiring decision maker? I know a lot of my clients, they actually like to get out of the HR world and really focus on C-suites and directors and VPs and things like that. People that are really impacted by the open positions that they have in their companies, more than HR may be able to feel it. And I'm not saying to stay away from HR, it's a both thing, but that's why it's important to have a strategy that you can really leverage your time with powerfully. So every single day you want to be basically loading your pipeline with as many decision makers and gatekeepers as possible. And then as soon as you connect with them, you're going to pitch them. Just kidding. I just wanted to throw that out there for you. You're actually not going to pitch them on anything. And this is the number one problem that's going on with the industry. You guys all know, I'm sure many of you guys on here have received messages on LinkedIn. The minute you connect with somebody, they're immediately going in how they can help you. In your case, probably do something like me, right? Hey, John, I just wanted to reach out. I'm glad to be connected with you. Hey, would you be interested if I can generate you 10 to 15 qualified leads, but every single month? And everybody's tired of it. Everybody's tired of the approach. So the way that you can really make this work, because it still works, is don't connect and pitch. Actually use the platform in the way it's designed, which is to network with people, period. That is the way LinkedIn is. It's a social networking platform. So rather than going out and trying to sell yourself, pump the brakes and, start to play a long game, genuinely build a relationship with somebody. By doing that approach alone, you'll get plenty of interactions and opportunity, just because people are tired of the other approach, right? So play a long game, add value, start conversations, see if there's some commonalities going on with the people that you're reaching out to, okay? But the biggest thing there is don't connect and pitch. Don't take what you've learned offline your entire time in this industry and go apply it to the online world, because it's just going to fall on deaf ears. You're going to get crickets in your response. So if you can find ways to add value, generate questions that are open-ended to start conversation with people in your market that are going to be relevant to them, that they're going to want to give their feedback on, that you can have conversations all day long that turn into business. I see this happening every single day for myself and my clients. Every single day, grow your network, and then the people that you actually connect with, reach out, network with them. Okay, now there's a huge opportunity to automate this type of a process, right? And you guys might be going, woo, automation. I know LinkedIn automation. I've seen it. Again, well, the reason you guys know LinkedIn automation is because you're tired of the spammy connect and pitch approach. But automation still really works, and it really works well when you have a good hook and offer. In fact, most of you, I don't know who's listening to this right now, but most of you that are in this group have come from my automated LinkedIn efforts through an invitation to get into this group. And, if I can get, dang near 2,000 people to say yes on a campaign using automation works. You just have to have a good approach and you have to have a good hook. And that's what's important. Again, going back to the next step of standing out, knowing who my target market is, knowing what their pains and problems are, knowing how I can be a problem solver and help them. I can start conversations pretty much all day long. Okay. Now, the other thing too to keep in mind is it's not like, oh, well, only automate. No, it's a both thing. It's a both thing. It's personal outreach and personal touch. There's a lot of different ways, a lot of creative ways that you can reach out on LinkedIn outside of just sending somebody a standard direct message. So it's important to, when you're looking at these whole things, that when you're thinking about the word automation, it's not the end all be all. It's just a part of the process, so I can help do things and get things done faster and play at a higher level and do more impact. And when you think of it, if you're an independent recruiter, what is usually the biggest struggle with scaling your business? It's the hustle to get the client. And then once I've got the client and I've got that search, well, then I've got to stop my business development and I need to focus all my efforts on filling that role, which makes sense to a degree, right? It makes sense because if we really value our clients and our candidates, we want to make sure that we're giving the most impact for them. We don't want to get a client and then all of a sudden kick the ball down the road. So absolutely, your focus has to switch. But what happens is then that keeps you on the relevant roller coaster, because then all your efforts are focused on one area and we don't have any business development going. And that's really where automation really can help out, is that while you're over here and you're busy doing your search and interviewing client or candidates and talking to clients and actually making that marriage with them, you have a machine in place that's growing your network and starting conversations. Okay. And this is one of the keys about you doing this yourself. I cannot drive this part home enough. Okay. There's plenty of people out there that will offer a LinkedIn automated lead generation service for you, and they'll do it for you. Here's why you're going to waste a bunch of time and money doing that. Because if you hired a company to do lead generation for you, what are you expecting at the end of month one if you're paying an agency to do it? There's no build-up time here, right? It's, hey, month one, I want clients, I want results. So what are they going to do? They're going to go with the shortest path of their messaging to try to generate you leads so you're a happy client. So what does that do to you? For most people I talk to that have gone through this experience, the messaging that's put out there does not resonate, or it's not congruent with their brand. And so what happens is, yeah, you may be able to get a couple conversations out of it, but how many potential conversations have you destroyed in the future by just taking a very lazy transactional approach? When you understand and you know how to do this yourself, you have complete control to show up and how represent yourself the way you want to, and build the brand the way that you feel is going to be most impactful. To build a brand that resonates with you, that aligns with you the most. Okay, so that's the key when you're looking at amplifying your awareness, is making sure that you have control of the process of amplifying your awareness and running a prospecting strategy to your ideal market, connecting with people every single day, but doing it in a way that you align with, doing it in a way that is a win for you every day, not something that's like, oh man, this doesn't align, this isn't a win, I don't like what's going on. That's why you want to be able to have control of that process. Okay, so the next thing that you really want to be able to focus on is your ability to awaken the desire of your prospect. And what does that mean? It's really to create content that gets your prospect to move forward with you, that gets your prospect to take another step in your process so they can ultimately begin to know, like, and trust you. And so you can build a digital relationship online. Right now, we're having a conversation. I'm building a relationship with you. Right now, it may be one way because I'm the one speaking, but still, there is a relationship being built right now between myself and those of you that are watching this right now. And so, from a structure standpoint, from a strategy standpoint, you really want to focus on kind of a long game approach here. And so what I'm going to walk you through is kind of like what I call the relevant recruiter, messaging strategy. And it's basically where we're going to approach our market in three different places. The cold market that's not hiring right now, but has hired in the past and they've struggled with it. And they know that the next time they hire, they're going to need to make some changes. Okay. There's the warmer part of the market that is actually starting. They know they're going to be hiring pretty soon. They're starting to look for active solutions. And then there's the hot market that is hiring. Okay. And you want to kind of break these people into different buckets if you can. So let's talk about the cold market for a minute. The cold market is really where you're going to, really want to tap into your market's pains and problems to get the cold market to come to you. Meaning that you're going to want to be able to clearly articulate to your market that you understand why they're struggling filling these roles or recruiting these positions better than they do. And you can do this through some very short creative content. Now, when you're just a cold prospects entering your world, what happens is they're not going to give you as much attention span as somebody that's been in your world for a while. So as you're approaching the cold market with your content, keep it short and sweet, because that's what you can expect from the intention. But make sure that you're hitting home on your knowledge and your expertise. Now, as somebody moves a little bit further along with you, they kind of warm up, as well as their where their status is in their hiring. So as they kind of get to this place where they're starting to really think about going out and hiring some people, what we want to do is we really want to sell them on the solution or the method or the process for recruiting that we have that is better than the next person out there. So at this stage in the warm market, you really want people to buy into your methodology and your recruitment process, as well as buy into your brand and your recruiting. Again, the whole idea here is to get somebody to know, like, and trust you and build a digital relationship. Okay. Now, as people start to warm up to you, then you can expect a little bit more time, and you can give them a little bit more of a valuable piece of content. You can share a lead magnet with them, a guide, an ebook, a checklist, a webinar training. You're going to be able to capture more of their attention because you've already kind of warmed them up with some of this other stuff. They've already found some value. Now they're going to take another step with you. They're a little bit further along in their process. And that's where, we can get a little bit more of that time and attention from them. The third part of it is the warm part. And this is when people are hiring. Now, if you don't take anything out of this training, but to take this, and I keep talking about it, but 95% of your market is always marketing to hot. All they're trying to do is go and find the open roles that are open right now, and market to those people, going to job boards and marketing to those people, going to LinkedIn and marketing to those people. Not only that, is their approach is always transactional. So if you can understand that if you're going to start to play a long game and start to capture the clients that are going to be hiring a month from now, then what will happen is you'll actually be able to develop a much more qualified client through your content, through your relationship. And so that's where I would encourage you guys to really make a big shift, is stop worrying about the people that are hiring now and start marketing to the people that are going to be hiring a month from now. Especially as we're going through this time where there's not near as much, near as many openings that there were, back in January. So right now, what can I be doing? Well, I can be focused on building my pipeline for next January, for example. Now, that's not to say you're not going to pick up wins along the way, but when the strategy is built this way, you'll pick up as many wins as you need right now. So there's this myth out there that thinks that you have to ask and you have to be transactional all the time in order to get business. Of course you have to ask, but you don't want to lead with the ask. If you don't learn anything else in this entire training, just don't lead with the ask. Don't lead with, hey, John, just want to reach out. Are all your positions filled going into Q4? Don't be another recruiter, okay? Find a different way to separate yourself, because that's what's happening all over the map. Again, I'm not saying not to ask, but ask last. Lead with value first, okay? Now, what are the different types of ways that we can awaken desire? You know, there's a couple things that you can do that really unlock some keys in your prospect's head that are going to get them to view you as really being the only choice within the marketplace, okay? And, you know, what we're talking about here is like, you really want to be able to kind of build in a good hook at some point. You want to build in that lead magnet. And so what I really like is to help my clients build a guide that highlights their methodology or their process of recruitment, so that their market can see how they're different and how they can actually solve their problem. Okay, so that's one way that you can do it. But lead magnets don't have to be, you know, lead magnet really should be what you feel like your market wants, right? So don't be afraid to go ask your market, hey, what would be of value? What would be some things that, you know, you'd like to see from a recruiter that could be, you know, impact your organization? And so, you know, other ideas for lead magnets out of guides and white papers and stuff like that are checklists and cheat sheets and video series and webinars. There's all different types of lead magnets, but the lead magnet is really designed to start the process of the inbound game. Okay. So when we talked about amplifying awareness, that's where we're going to go disrupt, and everything is going to be more of an outbound approach. Once I start to awaken the desire, that's where I'm going to start getting people coming to me. Okay. And this is where my philosophy, I think, is different than anything else out there. Is it does both. You need both. You need to be aggressive. You need to attack, but you also want to build the attack so that it builds the inbound result. Okay. And so, you know, what kind of content can you create to help awaken the desire? Well, know, like, and trust. I'm going to keep going back into that. That's what people want. They want to know, like, and trust who they're going to work with, right? So, you know, why don't we tell stories about who I am? You know, I can tell stories about what I learned today. I can tell stories about my life at home and relate that to recruiting business. I can tell stories about my kids and relate that to my business. I can tell stories about what happened with my candidate today. Okay, so to kind of give you just like an off-the-cuff example, it'd be like, hey, you know, just got off the phone with a candidate, and you know, they were talking about how recruiters, you know, never get back to them. And, you know, ghosting is a massive problem in this industry. I totally agree. And I assured her that I would call back. And, you know, if you're a recruiter and you're, you know, still ghosting candidates, you need to change your approach, because we're killing our reputation out there. So that's just an idea of, you know, I'm telling a little bit of a story. I'm adding a little bit of value with that. But what happens with that, even though that's not like this big groundbreaking impact, is people start to go, oh, well, shoot, I like what Donnie has to say there. And there's another part of the market that goes, gosh, this guy's an idiot. And it's okay. Good marketing is when you're carving out and you're creating marketing content that really is going to draw one part of the audience in and kick another part of the audience out. So for those of you that, you know, are priding yourselves on cold calling, probably dropped off this live training a while ago, because as I'm saying, cold calling stinks. It doesn't work. Other people are going, yeah, I don't like to cold call either. I want to go towards that, right? So there's some basic examples. The other thing you can do is, you know, look at posts that add value for people, you know, through some numbers and stuff like that. Hey, three things to, you know, do this, 5 things to do that, X mistakes to avoid when you start hiring your next recruiter, right? So there's different ways that we can do that and create that type of content. The other thing that you can look at is creating content where we're really addressing the pains that somebody's going through. So, for example, you know, a lot of the pains that recruiters are usually facing is, you know, we talked about it's cold calling, or you know, you pick up the phone and you cold call and you make 100 dials and you finally get the other person on the phone and he gives you a search, but you know, he already gave that search to 14 other recruiters too, and now you're just another person in the market. So I'm eliciting this pain for you, and I go, hey, look, the problem with that is you don't have a way to stand out, amplify your awareness, and ultimately become the most relevant recruiter in your market and do it automatically. And that's the problem, is you don't have an automated lead generation system that can do this for you. Okay, but I add value by identifying what their problem is with those pains. Okay. Other types of content that you could create is just the process. Hey, when I start working with a client, or if you're going to recruit, here's what I recommend you do. Boom, 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 boom. Right. And then one of the key things that a lot of people are afraid to do is to promote and publish their outcomes of their success, right? If you place a candidate, every single time it should be somewhere on through your digital efforts. If you have a client testimonial, it should be blasted all over your digital efforts. Here's what doesn't work. Your LinkedIn recommendations, nobody goes there. Nobody gives a shit, okay? Nobody goes to your website either. So your testimonials on your website is not getting it done. It's being in the news feed. It's disrupting their day with your success. Now, some of the things I know for me, it took me a while to get over myself, because as I thought, well, shoot, I have to put myself out there, and I'm just going to seem like somebody that's bragging if I do this. Well, there's ways that you can do this and really share your client's success in a way that really puts them in a great light and puts you in a great light and really shows other people, hey, this was me. I can totally experience that too. So making sure that you're getting your success wins out there, whether it's clients and candidates, is just so important, because what that does is it reestablishes in the prospect's mind, oh, well, shoot, Renee, she recruits that exact position that I'm looking for. Oh, Dave, he does this, right? And so that's the idea, is that like it's a consistent effort to show, hey, this is what I do, this is what I do, this is what I do. Oh, by the way, I do it really good, and don't listen to me. This is what John has to say, right? And so that's the whole idea. This is the way we can awaken desire with our content. Again, we want to kind of go from a cold market to a hot prospect and hit them with all these different types of content along the way. Now, the fourth pillar is, the one that really kind of throws this all over the top. Okay. The fourth pillar is one that's certainly not been a part of this industry. And that pillar is the multi-channel approach, where we really focus on powerful promotion so we can get consistent engagements. So what do I mean by promotion? Promotion is basically where we're going to spend some money to drive our traffic, to increase the amount of awareness that we can create on our brand. But when we're driving this type of traffic, it's actually going to be focused on more of an inbound type of an approach. So my philosophy is that email's not enough, LinkedIn's not enough, Facebook's not enough, YouTube's not enough. You need to be everywhere. But with where you're at, if you're going to be doing some of this stuff on your own and implementing, you can't do all of that in 1 month or in 3 months and do all of that really well. So you really want a strategy that's going to support you to where you can actually develop these skills, master these skills, get better on these skills, and then get to the next one. So for example, probably the best place to start is on LinkedIn, but don't stop on LinkedIn until you know how to generate leads consistently on LinkedIn, and you make that into a machine that's predictable and systematic. Once you do that, then go to your next platform. Okay. But really, when it comes to, promoting yourself and driving powerful content, it's being able to do it in a way that's easy and doesn't take a ton of your time. And so that's where, automation kicks in. So in this situation, the automation isn't really driven by a tool, so to speak. It's driven by the revenue. So Facebook is probably the best example that we can give here for you. Facebook ads, you're going to pay money to drive traffic to an ad, and that ad's going to drive traffic to, what I recommend is do a specific landing page. Okay. Let's talk about landing pages versus websites. Landing pages is a place where somebody goes online. It's like a website, but when they get there, they can only take really one action. And most of the time, for you guys that have been in my world for a while, you'll see my landing page is, hey, to come download this guide, or it's to go to this free training. There's no other action you can take there. And the whole purpose of a landing page is to convert a lead. Whereas a website is more of like a brochure. Okay. Websites are probably the most overrated thing in the world right now, because it's not saying you shouldn't have one. You definitely should, but everything that should be focused on the opportunity to take somebody and have an online journey with them. And a website is tough to do because people aren't going to take the action you want to take. They're going to take the action that they feel is relevant to them. So they may have come to your website for one objective, and all of a sudden they see something on your link, you've pulled them off into a different direction, and they fully lost, and boom, they're gone. So you want to be focused more on landing pages than you are on websites. And if you're going to pay for advertisement, please don't pay to drive traffic to a website. It has got to be the biggest waste of money. And if you are, and you are seeing a result, then get a landing page going, because you'll probably 10x that result. Okay. So when you look at a platform like Facebook, people think of Facebook and they think of a Facebook ad, and a lot of people have kind of dabbled on this. Oh, I ran some ads on Facebook and I didn't see any results. And the reason is because they run an ad. Facebook is not a place where you're going to create and make one ad that's going to get you a bunch of activity. So Facebook really works when you have more of a campaign, when there's a structure and there's a hook, and then there's a story that we can tell behind it. Now, what Facebook allows us to do is we can pixel people, and a pixel is essentially like an online name tag, and we can pixel people and we can take them to the place where, hey, they took this action, I want them to see this content. And then they take another action. Oh, they took this action, I want them to see this content. And it all happens automatically once you set it up. And that's the beauty of it, right? And this is where there's a lot of opportunities, because there's so many recruiters that are stuck in the story that you can't convert on Facebook. And the reason is because first, they don't know how to target their market. They don't have a good hook and lead magnet landing page. But second is they're relying upon, they think that one ad is going to get the job done, and it just doesn't. Especially in these industries that, we're really trying to get ourselves to be known, liked, and trusted. Then we want to really play a long game. Now, let's talk about retainers a little bit and how the powerful promotion and this whole strategy works when it comes to retainers. Why does somebody retain a firm? Because they believe without a shadow of a doubt that they're the best person to fill this role. So what is the biggest struggle with retainers goes back into our ability to stand out from the next company in order to demand the respect I need for them to give me money up front to go work their search. So, when you're promoting yourself powerfully and you're showing up on multiple channels, and you can then capture somebody through this lead generation strategy, there's a whole different perception on what they'll be able to do for their business when it comes to recruiting, right? Because when you're doing online marketing, you're essentially recruiting somebody into your business, into your funnel. And when you understand that, that's where the magic happens. And that's why you need to really become comfortable with giving away free value and then turning that into a monetary exchange. That's the whole name of the game when it comes to online marketing. And the thing, though, is you don't want to be buying into this whole thing of, well, I got to be a blogger and I've got to be a blogger every day in order to see results. No, you can just create good strategic content and roll it out. And that's how you'll see, more results. It's based off of what kind of content you're putting out there, and then the consistency of showing up to that content. That's the other great thing about having a powerful promotion strategy, is that on the days that you're not as motivated, your machines are still working. So as I go out of town and I do family vacations, my Facebook system is on, it's working, it's automated, and there's this idea that I never stop working because it's out there working for me every day, 24/7, 365, keeping a loaded pipeline of clients and customers. So this is the last place you want to get to, because if you're going to do a powerful promotional strategy, it's going to take you money. And depending on where you're at in your business, you may or may not be ready to invest that kind of money to generate those results. And that's why we focus on the three other elements of the relevant recruiter method. First is to focus on a more organic approach so that we can generate revenue through our organic efforts. But if we really want to pour gas on the fire, if we really want to dominate our market, if you really want to be the go-to in your industry, if you're hungry like I am to grow your business, you got to be buying into the powerful promotion part, okay? Because this is really where it's going to eliminate the peaks and valleys in your revenue cycles, because you have a machine out there that's going every single day. The coolest thing about automation and this type of a strategy is they don't come to work and they don't bitch every day. They don't tell you what's wrong. They don't take days off. It just works 24/7, 365. Now, it's not a plug and play thing. One of the things you have to understand about good marketers, okay, and this is why most of the stuff out there, people are just teaching full of shit stuff, is because good marketers are good testers. There's no magic pills out there. Okay. Those of you that think that there's this shortcut, yeah, there's things that we can do to fast track you to get there, but the shortcut is for those that are doing the work, period. It's not just showing up and doing nothing and hope that somebody has some magic pill, right? So it's staying committed to the long game. And when you do this, what happens is you actually start to really build a massive audience. So now we expand our reach from what we're doing with our Amplify Awareness. And actually, one of the things that we do is we take and we leverage what we've done through our Amplify Awareness part of the strategy. And we can actually take all these people that we've connected with on LinkedIn and we can target them specifically with ads on other platforms. Okay. And that's what makes this powerful, is that we're expanding a reach, but the whole concept is to only market to a small set of eyeballs, right? So I'm going to cast this really wide net, and then my lead magnet brings them in, and then I can remarket with these eyeballs. And the powerful promotion strategy does all this for you automatically. Okay. And that's how we build that massive audience. And for those of you that have, aren't online yet, the whole idea of a massive audience seems so far-fetched, but through consistent effort and action, it actually can happen a lot faster than you think. And then eventually what happens is you start to kind of build your own community and kind of have this little group of fans. Now, feel free to drop this in the comments below, but like, how many real clients would you need right now in your business to to impact it? How many real clients would you need to really make an impact in your business? Or how many clients would you need to maximize your capacity? Drop that in the comments below, because when you think about it, if you can really be top of mind to 100 or even 1,000 clients, and that's where you're focused your energy and your effort is. We talked about in the beginning of this training, where are you focusing your time, energy, and effort? Well, what if it was on this 1,000 prospects that we identified, and we just committed to showing up better, more often, and more authentic than the next recruiter to just these 1,000 prospects? You tell me you can't get business through time? I'm telling you can, because I see it every single day with my clients. So that's how these four steps go together. I hope you can kind of see how the whole thing works. So those are the 4 pillars of the relevant recruiter method right there, where again, we've got the ability to stand out so that we can separate ourselves from the next recruiter and recruiting agency out there. We've got our, amplifying our awareness. No sense of standing out if nobody's going to know who we are. We've got to stop becoming the best kept secret in town. We got to, show our market that you are who you say you are, and create more awareness around that. And then, you also have the ability to awaken desire. It's creating strategic content that's going to get somebody to take another step with you and take action with you, not just to become a blogger. And then the 4th thing is to leverage yourself by, doing powerful promotion. So those are the 4 things that come up. So Alexander, thank you for the comment in there. 15 clients was his comment. So again, I mean, when you think about it, if we need 15 clients in a year, we're not looking to get 15 clients this month. We do this process month after month, year over year. You're going to be able to get 15 clients, plus you'll be able to spit out some of the ones that eventually go out and go away, or ones that you don't like. And that's one key thing I want to drive about. How many times do you guys do a search that you really just don't even care about the client that you're working with? You get involved with them and you're like, holy shit, like I don't want to do this anymore. But yet, because there's not a much else out there, you're kind of like, well, no money's better than any money. Or some money's better than no money. Excuse me. So that's the thing that's going to keep you stuck in your business, though. Like when you understand that, like the energy factor that goes into that shitty client destroys what you're able to do on everything moving forward. And so the ability to create demand for your business, not only does it increase your revenue, but it increases your sanity, because you can fire people as needed. I only work with people that I want to work with. I only work with recruiters that are genuinely trying to make an impact, that genuinely care about their client, genuinely care about their candidate, that show up every single day, that do the work, that are focused on a specific industry, that know that online marketing and lead generation is the future of their recruiting business. So that's the 4 pillars for you guys right there. If you guys are interested in learning more about this, drop a relevant recruiter in the comments below. Just drop relevant recruiter in the comments below, and myself or one of my team members will reach out and we'll talk about how this can fit for your business. But more importantly, just see where you're at right now and see where we can get you kind of pointed in the right direction. Myself and my team, we're committed to revolutionizing this industry and changing the way recruiters are doing business and create more freedom in their life. You don't need to be married to your phone to have success in your recruiting business now. That is the biggest lie that anybody's ever told you in your life in 2020. Expand your thinking and do some things that are different. You don't need to make 100 calls a day. You don't need to have some 8 or 12 touch point sequence in order to do this successfully. You focus on things, and go back to what I said earlier. Build a marketing strategy and have a marketing plan that is built for years, not for months. Do things that are going to be relevant in 2025, not things that are relevant in 1990 or the early 2000s. Markets shift and change big time. And what we saw through COVID was that so many people started working from home that they're not at their desk phone anymore. Not only that, is who really wanted to call and market to somebody and try to sell in the middle of COVID. But I could tell you that there was more people online now than there ever been. People are, especially right now, you throw the election into the mix. What do people do? They get up, they go to their phone, they figure out what's going on with COVID, they figure out what's going on with the election, they figure out what's going on with all the other issues, within our different countries. And you need to be a part of that process. You need to be part of that conversation now, but it takes a full commitment in order to do that. And, this is one of those things that, like, online marketing, if you really want to see success, really hard to have success by putting a toe in the water. You got to jump all the way in, period. It's just like anything else. But, so many people think that they can kind of dabble with it and try it and do it for a month or two and then go, it doesn't really work. It does. You got to commit to it. You got to become a tester. You got to tweak. You got to test. Eventually you find hooks that You know, I can tell you every single day, I can go log into my LinkedIn right now, and I can guarantee you that there's 5 or 10 people that are going to be interested in listening to my podcast, because that's the hook approach that I'm using right now. Guarantee it. Every single day. Now, the first time I put that message out a couple weeks ago, I didn't have any responses, but I finally made the tweaks. Eventually get the response. Okay. So within our training program itself, you know, you work with me hands-on to help you do all this. We have all the training, all the resources to help you stand out, to help you amplify your awareness, all the different messaging templates that you need for all that type of stuff. All the different content topics, ideas, and mindset work, how we can actually push you through some of that mindset work, tools and technology, promotional strategies. We have everything that you need to fast track this. Now, again, there's not a magic pill. You know, we can shortcut it if you're willing to do the work, but don't think that anybody is selling anything out there where you just buy the product or buy the program and you're going to see results. You got to roll up your sleeves. You got to do the work, because those are the ones that are really winning right now. So again, if you're interested in this, you're interested in my team helping out, drop relevant recruiter in the comments below and we will reach out. But thank you so much for joining me on today's training. Those are the 4 pillars that you need to build a successful recruiting brand online and turn that brand into an automated online lead generation effort that attracts your ideal clients and candidates. So thank you guys for being here with me. I appreciate those of you that interacted in the comments. Send me a DM, drop the relevant recruiter in the comments below, and myself or my team will reach out to you. Everybody have a kick-ass rest of the week, and looking forward to helping and talking to each and every one of you. We'll talk to you soon.